Over the weekend, there was some bombshell reporting on the story of President Biden's health, reporting that could prove to be a key piece of the puzzle in determining what's wrong with him. First, from the New York Post's John Levine, who reported that President Biden's personal doctor, a man named Kevin O'Connor, met with a Parkinson's disease specialist at the White House back in January of this year. That specialist's name is Dr. Kevin Kennard. Okay, Kennard. O'Connor's the main doctor. Kennard is the Parkinson's guy. Then, on the heels of the New York Post reporting this news, Alex Berenson followed up and reported that this very same Parkinson's doctor had actually visited the White House's residence clinic 9 times over the past year. Most of the appointments set up by the Navy nurse who runs care for President Joe Biden. In fact, from what we've gleaned from the White House visitors log, we've looked at it now too, it's been on a near monthly basis that a Parkinson's specialist has been visiting the White House and the team that takes care of President Biden. So we did some digging of our own, looked back at the dates that Kennard, the Parkinson's guy, visited and what was going on with President Biden at or around the time. The visits actually started not in this past January, but a year ago, July 2023. Earlier on the day of Dr. Kennard's visit, the president traveled to Maine. Now, in this video, you see him come down the stairs of Air Force One and fail to salute service members waiting at the bottom of the steps. That's standard protocol. All the presidents do this. He knows this. Instead, he just blows past them and starts looking around like he's lost. He then walks off to the side and stops again. At one point, you see him then walk back toward a Secret Service member standing in back of him. He appears lost. Approximately a month later, the doctor visited the White House again, the Parkinson's guy. Days before he showed up, President Biden had been in Hawaii to survey the devastation from wildfires. While there, Mr. Biden struggled to say the names of various Hawaiian officials, including both of Hawaii's Democratic senators. This made headlines at the time, and we here on the MK Show reported on it. Watch.
Brian Chance, our senator, Senator Maisie. By the way, Maisie, I told my granddaughter, whose name is Maisie as well. She said, that's why I like her. Anyway, but her name is Maisie as well. And Jill Takuda.
The president also appeared to be very pale during that trip, some suggesting he appeared to fall asleep at an event. Look at him in this video. He looks ghost white. A week later, Dr. Kennard was at the White House again. This visit came days after President Biden made this incoherent and rambling comment about shootings that had happened in Florida. And he made numerous factual errors. Again, a story we reported at the time.
And so we have to act against this hate-fueled violence, and you saw what's happening there. By the way, almost 5 years to the day that 5 young blacks were killed in Jacksonville 5 years earlier at a gun shop, a store they were doing kids' toys. But you know, and we have to speak out that there's a whole group of extreme people trying to erase history, trying to walk away from it. I mean, the idea that we're sitting here, I never thought that I'd be president, let alone be president, and having a discussion on why books are being banned in American schools. And you know, as an administration, we're going to continue to march forward, jobs and freedom that we've worked so hard for.
You can hear him again, slurry, not completing his thoughts, incoherent, talking about this shooting. What seems to be happening here is after speaking about a 2023 shooting in Florida, he was trying to discuss a different shooting that happened exactly 5 years earlier in Jacksonville, but he had all of the facts wrong. In that 2018 shooting, the gunman opened fire at a video game tournament at the Chicago pizza restaurant, not a gun shop or a store doing kids' toys. 2 were killed, not 5, as he said. 1 victim was black, 1 was white, not 5 young black people. Moving on now. The doctor visited again on October 13th, which was understandably a significant time of stress as the Hamas terror attack on Israel had just taken place. He again visited on November 17th, a day before President Biden had referred to China's President Xi as a dictator, causing the president's Secretary of State to visibly wince and shake his head.
President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours.
There was no White House visit listed in December, but the president was out of town for a large portion of that month. On January 17th, the doctor visited again. This is the visit that prompted the Post to report on this today, and they saw it first. And it happened to come just days after the president mistakenly suggested that he was still in the Senate during an event in Pennsylvania. Of course, he has not been a U.S. senator since 2009.
My name is Joe Biden. I work for the government of the Senate.
President Biden also appeared to get lost while being introduced to people. He's led around, stopped. He's wide-eyed. He makes odd gestures. He looks down, then motions for someone to come over before shaking hands. A few days later, during a rally in Virginia, President Biden mumbled a bizarre, slurring message about women and former President Donald Trump.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
On January 26th, that White House meeting occurred that the New York Post reported on, involving 4 people: the Parkinson's expert, President Biden's personal doctor, a cardiologist, and an unidentified 4th person. We do know that President Biden was at the White House that day. In fact, he had held meetings with congressional leaders. We also know that the president's official schedule was clear at the time of the doctor meeting. When questioned by the New York Post, a White House spokesman said, quote, "A wide variety of specialists from the Walter Reed system visit the White House complex to treat thousands of military personnel who work on the grounds." However, the spokesperson refused to answer questions about who the doctors were meeting with that day and did not say that it wasn't President Biden. About a month later, President Biden's personal doctor would issue his own summary about the president's health after conducting his annual physical. He had noted that he had specialty consultations with various people from Walter Reed, but he did not name the doctors. This is O'Connor. He's not naming Kennard nor anyone else. He also noted the specialties included neurology and cardiology. Dr. Kevin O'Connor said that the other doctors concur with his findings and that President Biden, quote, "continues to be fit for duty and fully executes all of his responsibilities without any exemptions or accommodations." That report was promptly panned by people such as former President Trump's and Obama's former doctor, Ronnie Jackson.
This whole report is absolutely ridiculous. It's nothing more than the White House's effort to check the box and hope that we'll move on from this. The fact that they didn't do a cognitive test as part of this physical exam, they did a neurological exam. There's 5 parts to a neuro exam. One of them that they conveniently left out, the one that we care about, is the mental status exam. We have nothing on his mental status. This was a complete joke by Dr. O'Connor. And, you know, if he were serious about this, he would have done a thorough, comprehensive, objective exam that included a cognitive exam. And he would have stood up before the press in the press briefing room and he would have defended it and he would have answered questions. But he doesn't because he doesn't want to answer the questions because he's going to have to lie.
There would be another visit by the Parkinson's expert on March 28th and possibly more. The White House visitor logs don't go beyond March. Therefore, we have no way of verifying what happened in April, May, June, or July so far. What we do know, the White House has some explaining to do, and the American people deserve answers. Do you ever think, how can I work this hard and still be in debt? The piles of overdue bills, the threatening phone calls, never having money to do anything, it just won't stop. If you are trapped in debt, Done with Debt can be a way out. They have developed aggressive new strategies to end your debt permanently. Done with Debt stands between you and the harassing bill collectors. They tirelessly negotiate with your creditors to lower or even forgive what you owe. And they do it all without bankruptcy or new loans. One client said, one phone call saved us a fortune. I wish we did this long ago. Done with Debt has unique strategies to get you out of debt faster and put more money in your pocket every month. But you need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive and you don't want to miss out. Visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their debt relief strategists for free. You've got nothing to lose except your debt. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.